Hello everyone, David Klecker here. I am the creator of AutoHARP3. This tutorial is going to begin the discussion of the expansion packs that you can get with AutoHARP3. We're going to start with the first one with Martial Law. When it comes to installing any of these expansion packs, it doesn't matter what order you install them in. So if you bought, let's say, College of Magics first, you can go ahead and install that. These are just expansion packs. They're just database installations. So they're just adding to your program's database. The program itself, Harp Fantasy, already will recognize when databases have been entered, and they will go into those databases and read them appropriately as we have it set up in the preferences. So let's go ahead and install Martial Law so that we can see this function and work, and so we can go ahead and talk about it. Installation is exactly the same, except in this case, please, you do need to install it in the exact destination folder that you installed Harp Fantasy. And that's going to be AutoHARP3 Harp Fantasy. That's where I installed it the last time, so that's exactly where I'm going to install this one. So click on install. It should not take long at all, and we are ready to run AutoHARP3 with Martial Law now installed. So let's go ahead and double click on this, and let's get this open and ready to go. So there it is. There's our first splash screen, and here we have our first addition, which is the random NPC button, which I know all of you guys are going to want to click on right off the bat. How to create a random NPC, put in a level that you want for a specific character, go ahead and put in whatever gender you want, go ahead and put in whatever race you want, go ahead and add in whatever profession you want. I'm going to go ahead and add Warrior Mage to show you that I can also select certain spells that I would like to be ranked. For example, Blade Turn, Elemental Fire, and let's do Warrior's Might. Don't do too many because these not all of these spells might be ranked. The program's going to bias these spells so that it will rank all the way up to so that you'll be able to cast the base kind of spell without the scaling option. So if there's enough ranks to go around, it can do all three. But if there's not enough ranks to go around, you might only get a few of them. With 3, I should get all 3 of them to rank up. But if I had 4 or 5, I might only get 3 of them to rank up. So I'm just going to leave the priority ones clicked. I'm going to click on Culture. And if I wanted to select any traits, I can go ahead and do that, or I'm just going to leave it blank and I'm going to let the program take care of all that for me. I'm going to click on Create NPC. It is going to bring up a window for me that says this is the name of the character sheet. I'm going to go ahead and save that character sheet, and it has now been saved and it has been loaded into my application. You'll notice though that it has not closed my Generate Random NPC window. This is because I want you to be able to create as many of these NPCs as you want quickly. So you can go ahead and create some new changes here. For example, maybe you are really kind of curious to see just how far this thing will go. So let's go ahead and select a level 50 human fighter. Let's see how far this will go. Let's make him urban. Create NPC. And there's my character sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and save him. And he's also loaded now into my program. Let's go ahead and close and let's check them out. It's going to open up the last one that I created, which was the human urban fighter at level 50. And as you can see, I've got all of the ranks basically in here. You'll see that endurance is heavily ranked because, again, as fighters, some of these ranks are going to be biased based on the profession. And a lot of these ranks are set up in a way where, yeah, you're going to have certain ranks that are going to get a lot more attention than other ranks. So especially with fighter, all of my combat and my armor and my endurance are going to be heavily biased, especially anything with athletics. But this is a full character sheet. The only thing that has not been done, there might be a few things here where I have a button here that allows me to upload an attack. I don't have one for axes, don't have one for long blades or staves or thrusting blades. Again, as a fighter, this thing is biased and towards having this guy have as many skills of fighting in general, to have as many weapon groups as humanly possible, but never lose sight of the fact that I need to rank up the very important skills. The equipment is all there, so if you want to maybe switch up the equipment, you can go ahead and do so. Equipment's usually pretty static with the NPC, this equipment here is going to hopefully work for each player, but you can always go through it and make changes as you see fit. If there was magic, it would be listed here. This character doesn't have any magic, but if I went to Akira, or Adaran, I'm sorry, and I went to his magic tab here, we do have some spells. Now, I selected 3, but I only got the 2. Again, this program will only get to the spells that it can get to. That's why it's never a good idea to select as many as possible, because you want just select you want to be prioritizing what your spells are. So elemental weapon fire, I got 14 ranks in that, and blade turn, I've got 11 ranks. So I can do a lot with elemental weapon fire. Probably should have been able to update the other one, which was warrior's might, but that's okay. I can always go ahead and add in any extra ranks I want, or you can make any changes you want. It's an NPC. I mean, it's your character sheet. You can do whatever you want with it. The other thing that happens in martial law are the battle ruins. Let's go ahead and let's use my warrior mage and let's make a battle ruin. The first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to make sure that that battle ruin skill, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be under the mystical arts, battle ruins. That's going to be a new skill. We're going to have to make a change here. I do believe that we're supposed to have at least 25, if not 26 ranks here. Let's go ahead and just make it 26 and close. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main screen. And we need to make sure that I have a magic spell that I can use and equipment that I can put it on before I can do any battle ruin creation here. But now that I can do this, I'm going to go ahead and select Manage Battle Ruins. It's going to bring me to the Battle Ruin page. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Battle Ruin, select the spell that I want to add, Blade Turn. I'm going to select the weapon it's going to go on, Flail. There's no maneuver roll that I want to apply, and duration is going to get applied automatically for me. So let's just go ahead and roll for inscription. It should succeed because it's going off of your skill bonus, and with 25 ranks, you should be able to succeed in that pretty frequently. And if you want, I can describe what the battle ruin looks like. I'll just say painted on hilt. That will show up on my battle ruin information. I'm going to go ahead and save the character, and now I have the battle ruin listed here. The time that it was casted and its duration. It will not delete after 24 hours. You are the one that determines how that 24 hours has elapsed. Has it elapsed in game time? Is it 24 hours? It's the next campaign. However you want that to happen, you are the one that's going to click on the delete button and get rid of the battle ruin. You can click on this, it will expand, and you'll get all the information on this ruin itself, including how it is painted or even inscribed on that weapon. You can go ahead and edit this ruin. But what you're going to do is you're going to just kind of edit the information about rounds active, area of effect, range of spell, or RR skill. But do keep in mind this is a battle ruin, so there are no rounds that are really active here. It's active for 24 hours period. The area of effect might be something that's part of my spell casted for action, but as you can see, it's not applicable here. Probably because it's just on the blade. It's a blade turn, so it's part of the weapon. So the range of the spell is self. You can even say on a weapon if you want to. You can go ahead and change this so that's a little bit more informative. There's no RR. And you can change the description if you also want to do that as well. No scaling options were applied, so let's go ahead and save changes. And I now have some better information about my ruin. If you want to make even more changes to this, you can always go ahead and click on this edit button. And this will allow you to change what you said about painted on the hilt. It even allows you to change the duration. Maybe it's not 24 hours, maybe it's 48 hours. So there it is. My duration has now changed. I'm going to go ahead and add in one more battle ruin. Let's add in one for elemental weapon fire. Because I'm not going to add this to my armor. Probably doesn't make sense to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway for the sake of the demo. Let's just go ahead and roll for inscription, and I'm going to save that to character as well. Now I have two battle ruins ready to go. So how does this work? How does this battle ruin work? If I go back to main screen for a second, I'm going to go into combat just quickly. Open combat, start combat up here, roll initiatives, and finish. As you can see in my combat, it tells me if my battle ruins are on armor. So as you can see, it says warrior mage, elemental weapon, fire, on item Elven Steel full chain. If I click on this, it gives me all the information about that spell. So I can always go ahead and use this information. I can probably just, can't seem to highlight it, but that's fine. I can just try to remember the basics of it, and I can go ahead and just write it down here on my notes. Another thing that should also be happening when I select my flail, it's going to also show the battle ruins that are attached to that weapon. I can select that option and it will give me the information for that particular battle ruin. It doesn't automatically apply this information to any attack or any defense. You just simply have to adjust the properties based on this. And this is a great way to use your notes. So you can go ahead and type in these notes that says, hey, this guy has this blade turn here, so any attack that comes is going to receive a -25. and I've also got this elemental weapon fire. So I'm just going to say that if anybody touches my armor, like if they're punching me with a martial arts attack, they're also going to take a critical hit. So you can use it in that way. All right, I'm going to stop combat, go back to main screen, because I think I've shown you how the battle runes work with all of this. Let's see, also the battle runes are attached to the equipment itself. So if I were to show you the flail here and go and open this up edit-wise, you'll see at the very bottom that the battle rune has been applied to that item. Because again, a battle rune is a part of an item, and its information is basically the spell that is on that item. So you'll get that battle rune there if you do an edit on that item. Let's see, you get your new skills with this package. You'll get some martial arts styles, some new ones, some new combat styles. You'll get some new training packages that you'll see when you do an add level. You'll get some new talents when you do an add level. There are some new weapons. There are some new armor. So for example, you'll see that there is Elven Steel full chain. That is brand new armor that you can use. That armor will come into a play here if you go to full sets of armor, and you can select any one of these armor combinations that come from the database. If you select, say, full chain, for example, down here it's going to update the quality and the material, if any, is linked to that particular armor. You can go ahead and make changes to any one of those, but do be cautious, because if you update armor material, some materials are linked to quality. So if you update a material, that armor quality might also get updated as well. So just be cautious that could also happen. Just be cognizant that your armor quality might change based on what armor material you have selected. There's also the organizations. Let's go check that out. So if you go to notes, and you'll see down here there is an add organization guild. If I go ahead and click on that, it allows me to select an organization or just make one up. You can go to the page 54 on martial law. You can go ahead and use that if you want. Type in whatever you want, or just select one, and you can go ahead and click on save, and it will create the organization for you. You can view it here by clicking on this eyeball, and you can read it, and you can, or you can edit it however you want. If this doesn't apply, just go ahead and click on delete. Notice with my other notes here, I have all of those traits since the computer selected them for me. And of course it selected a lower class. This is also new to martial law, is social class. If you create a new character sheet, the social class is going to determine how much money you start with. That's going to be the biggest change that you're going to notice with the social classes. How much money does your character start with based on what you select? And of course, if you select anything that's other than poor, like lower class, a talent has to be associated with that. So hopefully, and I don't really do that with the character sheet, you're going to have to be the one that remembers that you purchased the lower class talent. Let's see what else. There are new actions. So remember that in combat you select actions for your character sheet for each character for each round. There are new actions, and in fact these actions are actually scaled. So if I go into open combat and I go ahead and I select, let's just start with Adirad again, and I select my action. Let's say I select my weapon first. I don't know how many ranks I have in flail. Let me just check that one out for just a quick second here. Let me go back and check how many ranks I have in flail. I don't even remember what that's supposed to be under. Flail is a great chains. Okay, so let's look up great chains weapon group under here. That's right here. So that's 12 ranks that I have in that. So 12 ranks, I do believe, might not be enough to get to, I believe it's it starts off basic, and then it goes advanced, expert, and legendary. And I do believe that advanced is 20. Excuse me. So if I looked at my combat, what I'm not going to notice is going to be some actions that are not in there. For example, I do believe that there is a some kind of a defense slap that's not listed here. But if I were to go into my combat sheet, or sorry, into my character sheet for just 1 second, go into Great Chains, and I'm going to up this to 21. So this is what I need to look at. I want that to be 21 ranks. So my Great Chains now has 21 ranks. I go to combat, I go to actions, and now that's a double slash. That's now a new action that will show up because I now have more than 20 ranks in that particular weapon. I can now do more things with that weapon. And that'll happen if you add in 41 ranks, you will get the expert actions. And then if you add, I think, 60 61 ranks, you will get the legendary actions that will appear on this drop-down box. So there are scaled actions that are not part of martial law, and they will only appear based on the weapon that you select and the number of ranks that are in that weapon. All right, I want to do one more thing, and I want to show you the critical tables that happen with martial law. Before we do that, one thing that I have not done, and it's very important that you actually do this, is under Tools, Preferences. Now, I actually did change this, but you need to also set up database for criticals to be equal to martial law if you want to use the locations that are in that critical table set. If you have Harp Fantasy selected, then you're not going to be using the martial law critical tables. But if you do select Harp Fantasy Martial Law, then those critical tables will get used. So make sure that this is set under Preferences. Go ahead and save changes and close. So I'm going to go ahead and run combat. And I'm going to have, let's see, Adrant is going to attack Aldazag, and that's going to be a pretty hard attack. So I'm going to kind of have to nerf his attack here a little bit. So I'm going to put a modifier of 100, and that's it. And I'm not going to have him parry or anything like that. So let's go ahead and run that attack. And doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot, but you'll see that the location is hands and arms. So we've got the martial arts critical tables working for me. And it's the same as before, except again, we are now dealing with a location. So as I go up and down the critical table, it's because, I'm sorry, as I'm going up and down the location. You'll notice the location stays the same. What if you want to override that location? What if you don't want your roll, for example, is 20, because it's ends in a 0, that's hands and arms. What if I wanted to say, well, no, I want the abdomen and groin. I'm doing like a cold shot. Well, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to select that location and do a location override. Go ahead and select attack, and now you will see that its location is abdomen and groin. You are overriding what the player role is, what the location is. And again, as I go up and down the critical table, it stays with that location, abdomen and groin. That's it for the critical tables for martial law. The biggest change that I made with the critical tables is actually happens in Harp Fantasy more than it does with martial law. The critical tables for martial law have the acid critical table. What I've done with Harp Fantasy is I've taken the external poison critical table out and I've replaced it with the acid table. Maybe I'll get pushback from that. If I do, then I will put it back. But I made that change so that the martial arts critical table and the Harp Fantasy critical table were basically the same thing, and the only difference between the two then was the location stuff for martial law. That's it. That's all that really you're going to get with martial law. It's a lot, so there's definitely a lot of great additions that'll certainly update your combat experience, your armor, your weapon experience, battle runes experience. Gives you a lot more ways to update your character sheet. Thanks again for purchasing AutoHARP 3, and happy gaming.